This video is supported by patrons like you. If you'd like to become a patron, please head over to patreon.com/Khalil Shabazz, where you can make a one-time donation or a monthly donation starting at $1.
Hey guys, Khalil Shabazz, author of the book, Why Do Black People Vote Democrat? Look, for this next video, I don't know how to make this dramatic, right? So I'm just going to come right out and tell you straight up. It was the Democrats, not the Republicans, who became the Confederacy. It was the Democrats who were pro-slavery. It was the Democrats who wanted to keep slavery legal. It was the Democrats who wanted to spread slavery further into the West via the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which would have repealed the Missouri Compromise. I know. Look, the Missouri Compromise, Kansas-Nebraska Act, it sounds a little bit too much like inside baseball. I get it. But you need to understand what these two pieces of legislation, what they actually presented to the actual landscape, because this is really what culminated with the Civil War. The Missouri Compromise of 1820 basically said any new territories that were to become states, slavery would not be allowed further west, right? So for any territories that were to become states, it was already said and done, slavery would not be allowed further west, right? This was the Missouri Compromise. Fast forward 1854, now you have the Kansas-Nebraska Act, and the Kansas-Nebraska Act threatens to repeal the Missouri Compromise. This infuriated the newly formed Republican Party. The Republican Party was formed expressly to stop the spread of slavery and then eventually wipe it out.
What did you just say?
Hey, Lois, hey, you peeing here?
In a moment. What did you just say?
The Republican Party was formed expressly to stop the spread of slavery and then eventually wipe it out. This act, this piece of legislation, the Kansas-Nebraska Act, is what brought Lincoln back into politics. He got out of politics, went into private law practice, and now we have a piece of legislation that potentially could allow slavery to continue to grow. Again, the Republican Party was established to extinguish slavery.
What did you just say?
Hey, Lois, hey, you peeing here?
In a moment. What did you just say?
Many of us, many black people, don't really realize, or we don't believe that Lincoln was truly anti-slavery. Well, all you get to do is look at what his political rivals thought. They certainly thought that he was anti-slavery, and it's all throughout the literature. It's all throughout the flyers, all throughout the campaign literature, even within the speeches, it's all throughout the history. Lincoln was very much acknowledged as an anti-slavery candidate, right? So he is a perfect model for the newly formed Republican Party, right? Remember, the Democrat Party was always pro-slavery.
What did you just say?
So now, fast forward, now we have the campaign for the 1860 election, right? Lincoln is known, again, as the anti-slavery candidate, right? This throws all of the pro-slavery states into a hell of a tizzy. They are pissed off. It was the Democrats, not the Republicans, who threatened to leave the Union if the 1860 election was to bring forth a Republican president. And of course, the 1860 election gave us Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican president. He was elected in November of 1860. The first state to secede, South Carolina, left the Union December 1860. They left the Union the very next month. Prior to Lincoln even taking the office, 7 states had already seceded. Now, here's the kicker. Every governor in every state that left the Union was a Democrat. You don't believe me? Check this out. December 20th, the first state to secede from the Union, South Carolina. Who was their governor? Francis Pickens. What party? Democrat. Shortly after, January 9th, 1861, Mississippi left. Who was their governor? John Pettus. What party? Democrat. January 10th, Florida left the Union. Who was their governor? Madison Perry. What party? Democrat. The very next day, January the 11th, Alabama left the Union. Who was their governor? Andrew Moore. What party? Democrat. January 19th, Georgia leaves the Union. Who was their governor? Joseph Brown. What party? Democrat. January 26, Louisiana leaves the Union. Who was their governor? Thomas More. What party? Democrat. And then the seventh state to actually leave the Union before Lincoln even takes his seat, February 23rd, Texas leaves the Union. Who was the governor? Edward Clark. What party? Democrat.
That boy is good.
By this time, April 1861, the war actually kicks off. The Civil War actually starts. It started with the attack on Fort Sumter, which was granted by Francis Pickens.
Charge!
That's what formally kicked off the Civil War. Now, at this point in time, after the start of the war, 4 additional states actually leave the Union: Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, North Carolina. And just like the original 7, each state's governor belonged to which party? Democrat. So now you have 11 states that form the Confederacy at this point in time, and they're all the southern pro-slavery states that was entirely controlled by Democrats, from the top all the way down to the bottom.
Well, I wish I was in the land of cotton wool, and there I not forgot to look away, Dixieland. In Dixie's land where I was born in early on one frosty morning. Look away, Dixieland. Then I wish I was in Dixie, hooray, hooray. In Dixie's land I'll take my stand and live and die in Dixie. Away, away, away down south in Dixie. Away down south in Dixie.
As I said, the Confederacy was made up of Democrats, not Republicans. The Republican Party was an anti-slavery party, and these southern states, these pro-slavery Democrat states, saw the election of Lincoln as a direct threat. So, look, if you did not know any of this, if you always thought that the South, those who seceded from the Union, that the Confederacy were Republicans, you, my friend, have been lied to. I was lied to. We all were led to believe that these people were Republicans, right? I'm proving to you absolutely, and I go much, much deeper into the actual book. Again, this is just a teaser. Now, with all that being said, some of you may be saying, why does that even matter? Who cares, right? That was then, this is now, yada, yada, yada. Well, check this out. If you watch my previous video, the one on the Voters' Rights Act of 1965, you know that during Reconstruction, the period directly after the Civil War, you know that black people are voting, right? Thanks to the 15th Amendment. You know that black people are running for office. You know that black people are actually in office. What do you think those disgruntled, disgraced, pro-slavery, Democrat, Confederate soldiers thought after they lost the war? What do you think? Because now they see black people living like regular people, right? What do you think they thought? They thought, well, look at these uppity Negroes, right? How dare these people walk around here? You were my slave. How are you walking around like you got some business, like you're like you're a civilized human being? They were pissed off, right? What do you think they did with that anger? They created the Ku Klux Klan. That's right, the KKK. Remember, the war was over in May of 1865. The Ku Klux Klan was created and founded in Pulaski, Tennessee in December of 1865 by 6 former Confederate soldiers who came back, and they see black folks living like regular people, but more importantly, voting Republican.
The Klan became sort of a paramilitary arm of the Democratic Party, which of course was supported by the former Confederates.
Right? The Ku Klux Klan was created to dissuade black people, as well as anybody else, from voting Republican.
What did you just say?
That's why they were created. But look, that's all for now. I know that's a shoe drop moment. I know you're like, wait, what's the rest of the story? But I'm not going to give it to you right now. You know why? Because this is a teaser video. Hey guys, I want to take this time now to thank my patrons. Look, I want to thank those of you who stuck with me from the very beginning, but I also want to welcome and thank my brand new patron at the level 2, as a level 2 supporter. I want to thank you very, very much. She's a dear, dear friend of mine, and I really do appreciate you donating your hard-earned cash to this project. And oh, I hope you got my email. All right, and I'll talk to you soon. But look, I also want to thank Sean Eric, my man Sean Eric, my level 3 supporter. He stuck with me since the first video. I want to thank you, sir, for continuing to donate your hard-earned cash. I really do appreciate it, and I can't say that enough. And I also want to welcome a brand new level 5 supporter, my man Akash Kiwala. Sir, I want to thank you very, very much for donating your hard-earned cash. I really appreciate you showing that you have faith in what it is that I'm doing, and I appreciate your curiosity wanting to see what it is that I actually come up with. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please, if you can, support me on Patreon. This book is going to be a bombshell. I thank you for your time. I appreciate you viewing, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.